Hi, welcome to Azure Every Day with Pragmatic Works. My name is Steve Hughes. I am a principal consultant here at Pragmatic Works and glad to have you join us for another edition. So as we dig in today, some of the work I've been doing recently has been around open source databases on Azure, and I just wanted to talk about a new one today. And this is PostgreSQL on Azure Database, or as the product is actually called, Azure Database for PostgreSQL. Microsoft recently released this to GA, and it's really kind of cool to think of Postgres being a first-class citizen on Azure. What were the chances, right? So as Microsoft's embraced the open source community a little more, they have actually embraced this database at this level. Microsoft is using a relational data services platform to support multiple relational database platforms, including Azure DW, Azure SQL Database, MySQL, and PostgreSQL. So why would you consider using it? I mean, Microsoft is moving a lot more towards open source, but why would you consider using Azure Database for PostgreSQL on your application? If you use Postgres with your application, whether it's WordPress or PHP or Django or some other open source development platform, you have a great new opportunity to move your application to Azure. Using the web apps features and your database, you can move to Postgres as a result. And this is all platform as a service capabilities, allowing you to reduce your overall maintenance and operational load. So here's 5 key things I like about moving Azure Database to PostgreSQL for making a good choice for your open source solution. Let's talk through them. First of all, because it's platform as a service, no installation is required. You turn it on just like you would Azure SQL Database or MySQL, or Azure Database for MySQL, whatever you do there, you're going to actually just turn this feature on. You're not going to install anything. There's no VMs, there's no management from that perspective. No installation required. The second reason is that it's Azure Data Services. Azure Data Services is secure by default. Your Postgres database is encrypted at rest by default. Your backups are also encrypted. Postgres is also using multiple compliance certifications, including HIPAA and PCI DSS Level 1. What do you need in order to secure your data? It's there, encrypted and compliant. High availability is built in. This is the third reason. Whether you use VMs or whether you use AWS to use for your Postgres database, you will have to set up and pay for that high availability second instance, no matter which one you use, right? So as you start to work through this, it will essentially double the cost of your solution. Keep in mind that Azure keeps 3 copies of your data to protect your solution from issues at any time, and this is built into the solution. You're not paying extra, you're getting 3 copies or 3 high availability nodes included in the product. You also can scale on demand. Typically, you can reduce what you deploy in Azure. So as you start to build things, you typically build things out for peak. Well, when you start in Azure, you don't build for peak. You build for what you need, and you plan to scale up as needed. And this allows you to typically save a lot of money and actually manage your overall costs and expenditures for your application, and even scale up on demand when you need it. Finally, on Reason 5 is monitoring is built in by default. You can set up alerts and notifications for various needs, but it's turned on for the database by default. You just go in, it's there, it gives you the monitoring and the things you need in order to move forward. Overall, using Azure's database for PostgreSQL is designed to support your open source solution from the ground up, especially if you really take advantage of the entire Azure open source play. You're going to be able to deploy these applications to the web app services and to platform as a service and reduce your need and complexity around setting up VMs and the complexity thereof. One last thing to keep in mind is that Microsoft is committed to using the Community Edition. So this is really important as you move forward and you look at the possibility of migrating. Microsoft is not creating a new branch of the code. Even though this is open source and Microsoft does a lot of open source contribution, if they do contributions, it'll only be the Community Edition, and it'll be, they will only update this product to match that edition. So if you're running Community Edition, which is the most commonly used edition, then you should be able to move your PostgreSQL database onto Azure without it being a problem. So keep in mind that using Azure database for PostgreSQL is a great way to move your open source technologies to Azure and be able to use tools and databases you're comfortable with without major changes to your application. If you have more questions about Azure Database for PostgreSQL or other Azure and open source technologies, click the link below for more information. We'd be happy to reach out to you. Thank you and have a great day.